All right, friends, I had to run into Walmart to get some ice cream maker rock salt because we're making some homemade ice cream with our new Nutrimill ice cream maker. It also fits on Bosch mixers. And we also got a Nutrimill waffle iron. So kids and I are making some ice cream tonight. So we had to go get some rock salt to do that. I really wanted some guacamole. So we've got 4 avocados and we have some limes from last week and an onion. I'm going to make it simple. I didn't get any cilantro or anything like that. I was trying to minimize how much money I was spending at the grocery store today. You guys, if you watched my last vlog, then you know I've just been doing small grocery hauls last week, this week, just trying to get the things that we need and nothing extra. I mean, a few extra things, but nothing too much extra. So we got some gluten-free tortilla chips. We got Aaron 3 bags of chicharrones because he makes himself nachos every night for dinner. So he does, or at some point in the daytime, he has his 1 meal a day. And then he fasts the rest of the time. He'll have a smoothie sometimes, but he'll do his 1 meal a day, and it's chicharrones, cheese, sour cream, some kind of ground meat. Sometimes he throws eggs on it. So that's what he does. They only had super green bananas. So I got a bunch of bananas because we're on our last couple over there. So we got a bunch of bananas. They had some plant-based cream, dairy-free cream, and I would like to attempt to make myself some dairy-free ice cream, so I got that. And I also have coconut milk in the cabinet, but I needed to re-up on my vanilla almond milk. This is what I use in my coffee, so I got another thing of that. Then over here we got another whole milk from Walmart, and then 2 quarts of whipping cream. I didn't realize I needed to buy half and half. Ooh, something's on my toe, but it was a bag. It tickled my toes, scared me. I didn't realize we had to get half and half for the ice cream. So what I did was I just did a half a cup extra whole milk and a half a cup extra whipping cream to get my half and half. And so that's what I did. Tell me, what is the difference between half and half and mixing whole milk and whipping cream? Half and half. That's what I did. Anyways, so we're going to see how this ice cream turns out. It should be delicious. We're making peach ice cream. It says to use fresh peaches. I didn't have any, so I'm using canned peaches, and I'm sure it'll be okay. We are all out of drawstring, kitchen trash, waste bin bags, trash bags. Funny story. When we lived in the UK, one of the first purchases I sent Aaron to the store for by himself, I needed trash bags. And he went to the store and asked every single employee in there, where are your trash bags? Nobody knew what trash bags were. Nobody knew how to help him. And he was like, you know, you put the things that you're done with, like when you use a carton of milk, where do you put your carton of milk? And they said, oh, a bin bag. The bin bags. So these are our bin bags for our trash can. And then the kids have some pretty horrendous allergies. I'm kind of nasally right now too. I've been having some allergy issues the last few days. Everything outside is covered in pollen. I'll show you the truck bed in a minute. But we needed some tissues, and it's just allergy season. So everything here, you all, guess. You're going to be as shocked as I was, because this seems ridiculous to me. It's ridiculous, the cost of groceries. Oh, I forgot, the 3 things of bubbly. Aaron drinks bubbly in the summertime. I'm glad he's no longer drinking beer. This is his refreshing summer drink replacement. And that's what, you know, if you're going to do one thing, might as well do it up, right? So we got him blackberry bubbly, cherry bubbly, and on occasion I will have an orange cream bubbly mixed with some elderflower cordial, and that's really tasty. I don't do it very often. I like my electrolyte lemon drink with Redmond's real salt and honey. That's what I prefer to drink, but on occasion that's really refreshing. So the orange cream bubbly, all of this was $83. Can you believe it? $83. I tell ya. Grocery prices are insane. They're trying to make us all live on the streets. All right, this is the back of Aaron's truck. It's black, believe it or not, but that's the pollen. accumulating. It's all over our porch too. You can see our porch is now yellow. That is pine pollen. We live in the pine forest. Pine pollen, kicking our butts, kicking our butts. At the time this video is posting, Nutrimill is having a huge sale on their ice cream makers, their ice cream cone waffle makers, all the delicious things. So we're going to start out making ice cream with 3 egg yolks, 1.5 cups sugar, and because I didn't have half and half, I'm doing an extra half a cup of whole milk to be 1.5 cups whole milk. We're also going to do 1.5 cups whipping cream. You can use heavy cream if you don't have whipping cream, but we're using whipping cream. And we're also going to do 1.5 cups of peaches. It says fresh peaches. I am using 1.5 cups canned peaches, and I'll chop those up. We're also going to add in 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. Make this nice and yummy. To start this ice cream out, we've got to cook it on the stove and make a custard. So we are going to add all of our milk, our eggs, and our sugar to this and get it going, get it nice and creamy. You want to bring this up to a simmer and continue stirring the whole time for 5 minutes once it is brought to a simmer until it thickens up nicely. Once we get all these ingredients added, we're also going to add in a little pinch of Redmond's real salt. Always add in a little bit of salt into everything that you make. That is so important for us to get the proper amount of minerals and electrolytes in our diet. I'm going to whisk this up, get everything nicely incorporated so it is a smooth consistency. Don't worry too much about the smoothness of it. You know, sometimes there's a little chunk of egg whatever in there. We are going to be straining this out through a fine mesh sieve once it is all the way cooked through. As your custard-like mixture cooks, it is going to froth up a little bit and it's going to continue to thicken. You can see it is frothing a bit from the simmering process as well as the whisking. You don't want to stop stirring because you do not want this to burn at all on the bottom. You can use a spoon if you want to, but I'm choosing to mix this up with a whisk. All the extra little bubbles are just going to add to the creaminess and the consistency that I want for my ice cream. After simmering gently on the stove for 5 minutes, we are going to strain this through our fine mesh sieve, and I have already strained the peaches. That's all the little yellow bits in there, so I'm just using the same one and straining out anything that is chunky in my egg mixture. To that, we are going to be adding the 1.5 cups cream. And like I said, if you're doing this recipe the way it calls for, you do 1 cup half and half, 1 cup whole milk, and 1 cup whipping cream. Next, we're going to be adding the 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and then I'm going to give these peaches a little chop, and then I'm going to add those in there. You are going to take all of this mixture and stick it in your refrigerator for about an hour or so to get it nicely chilled. The reason why you need to chill it is so that when you pour it into your ice cream maker, you don't melt all of your ice immediately. Also, you want to make sure you're using cubed ice or ice from the bags that you buy at the grocery store. All I have today is nugget ice, and that's going to impede the freezing of my ice cream just a little bit. I'll be better prepared next time, but I do not recommend using nugget ice. Definitely use a more solid ice to make your ice cream. So I'm going to pop this in the fridge for an hour, and we're going to come back and finish this up. The waffle cone maker comes with a recipe when you purchase your waffle maker, and I am going to make this recipe, or rather I'm converting it to gluten-free. So I am starting out with 2/3 cup, and this is a 1-to-1 gluten-free baking mix. So it is like an all-purpose flour. We're doing 2/3 cup of this baking mix. What I should have done was ran it through a sifter to get all the clumps out, but they're going to come out just fine when you press it into your waffle cone maker. There you see I'm adding a 1/4 teaspoon Redmond's real salt. To a separate bowl, I'm going to add 2 eggs. And next we're going to add 1/2 cup of sugar. We are going to mix this up really well, get it nicely incorporated before we add our milk. I'm going to be using almond milk today. Go ahead and use your whole milk or whatever kind of milk you want to use, but this particular recipe is gluten-free and dairy-free. It calls for a 1/4 cup butter. I am using a butter alternative, and you want to make sure that is melted. Lastly, we're going to add in a 1/4 cup of milk. Mix up all your wet ingredients, and then we're going to add it to our flour and mix it up nicely. Now, you don't want to over mix this because you do not want gluten to form if you are using a regular flour. So we're just going to gently incorporate this and allow it to sit for a few minutes before we start making our waffle cones. So you can see right there, I have my Nutrimill waffle cone maker warming up. Once it's gently mixed, we are going to be adding a 1/4 of a cup of this mixture to our hot waffle iron. This is going to cook for about 2 minutes. It may need a little bit more than 2 minutes, so use your discretion. You want it to be a light golden brown color. This waffle iron comes with a nifty little cone maker. So what we do is we transfer the waffle to parchment paper, we wet the edges, and then we're going to roll it up with our waffle cone maker. Meanwhile, we are assembling our Nutrimill ice cream maker. The first thing I did was I put the internal bowl, the stainless steel bowl, into the freezer so that it could get nice and chilled. Once it was chilled and once my contents or my ice cream mixture was chilled in the refrigerator, I am going to add it to my cold bowl. And I'm also going to add ice all around the stainless steel bowl, as well as some rock salt. And then we're going to turn the machine on and we're going to let it churn the ice cream for 20 to 30 minutes. So it was getting late on this evening and the kids were ready for bed, but I wanted them to have some ice cream first. So I went ahead and served it up like a soft serve into their ice cream bowls. I made waffle cone ice cream bowls for them. I thought it would be easier with a soft serve. I didn't want the ice cream to fall through the cones. That's the beauty of having a waffle cone maker, is you can make the waffle bowls or the waffle cones. And then I took the rest of the ice cream and I put it in the freezer to solidify so we could have some nice firm ice cream to use in waffle cones on another day.
Stand up and I dance. Don't leave me.
What song are you singing?
I don't know.
Yes, it definitely does need to sit in the freezer for a few hours or overnight, and then you get a really creamy, consistent, firmed up ice cream, which is amazing. I'm dishing some up right now for the kids in these little dishes, and it is so good. I cannot wait to make a dairy-free version of this. Stay tuned. I'll share that recipe with you all as well. It's going to be the same as this one. We're just going to substitute the dairy-free milk or the milk alternatives, and I'll let you guys know how that turns out. What? I don't know what song you're talking about.
It's fine. You'll figure it out.
It's time for another one of those weekly cleaning sessions. I loosely followed the Fly Lady cleaning routine for a few weeks, but I can't seem to stick to her type of schedule. I'm sure it works great for her and for a lot of other moms that do that particular schedule. I have taken from that what I have and adapted it to my life and my lifestyle. So every week I am working on an area of the home that needs either a deep clean, a deep purge, some organization, that sort of thing. Today's task is going to take me probably a little bit closer to an hour, but I have sped up portions of this so that it doesn't actually take me that long and so that I can fit it all into this video. With a little bit of creative editing, I'm going to show you how I am cleaning and purging this china cabinet here. I have a whole set of dishes that we were given by a friend of Erin's when we lived in the UK. They had purchased a new set of dishes and needed to get rid of their old set, and we were the lucky recipients of those. So today I have decided, after much consideration with Erin, that it's time to get rid of these dishes. They have just been sitting in here and we use them once a year at the holidays. However, I think we can make do with the dishes that we have in the kitchen. Not quite as nice as these. These don't really suit our decor either. So it's time that they go. They're just taking up space, and I need to convert this cabinet into a homeschool supplies house for all of our homeschooling books. You can see there are some over there on the chair that have our CD player sitting on top. We use the CD player for our history lessons. And below that is a little stack of some of our homeschooling books, but we have quite a few, and they currently sit on top of this cabinet and they need a home. So today we are going to purge, and make room for all of our homeschooling supplies. In years past, when I have homeschooled, I have utilized a bookshelf that sits adjacent to this area. And that bookshelf is chock full of literature books. It is our library for the kids. We have all kinds of books, and it's just filled to the max with those books. So we don't have space currently for homeschool stuff. And I have another homeschool cabinet across the room that houses boxes of homeschool books for all the various grades that we've homeschooled over the years. And all of those books are still in that cabinet that we took off of the shelf that's adjacent to this area. If you school your kids at home, then you know it's very easy to accumulate a whole lot of homeschool curriculum. We actually have a homeschool swap coming up where all the parents bring all of their homeschool curriculums that they're not going to be using, and we set them all out on a table, and you take what you need. There is no charge, there is no fee, but everybody just kind of finds what they need. They take that, and then at the end, everybody grabs their leftovers and they go home. So that's one way that we hope to accumulate some of next year's homeschool supplies. Whatever we cannot find there, we will source from the good and the beautiful. So back to the cleaning program that I am on, let's just call it that. The weekly purge, the weekly organization of one area of my home. I want to encourage you, if you have that area that's staring back at you and just causing you some negative feelings, go ahead and set aside some time for yourself, or when you have a moment and the urge hits you, just go ahead and grab a box, grab your trash can, head over to that area and start sorting, and put yourself or give yourself a time limit. If you give yourself a time limit, then it's not going to seem so daunting. Just get done what you can get done in that 15-minute stretch, that 30-minute stretch, that 60-minute stretch, and then walk away. Take a break. You can revisit it another day or move on to something else and come back to that in a month or two if it's just, really bugging you. So that is something that I have started doing. I am hyper focusing on one area of my home every week to donate, purge, clean those particular areas. Sometimes it's a kid's closet or a kid's wardrobe, a kid's set of drawers. Sometimes it is the back of the door where I have a bunch of jackets hanging, or it's a cabinet area in our mudroom, or maybe it's the pantry, one section of the pantry. I know like a year ago, it's been about a year, I did my medicine cabinet and I went through and I organized and purged and got rid of outdated medications, expired medications, and I just keep it going. Every week I tackle an area. I'm definitely trying to get more done this year in the coming months because of the potential for us to be moving. I know you guys are probably sick and tired of me talking about it, but let me explain. We are at the mercy of the military. They have our life in their hands at this time. So we are on their timeline. Aaron is being medically discharged or medically retired from the military, and we're not sure what that decision is going to be. He has gone through his VA exams, and those are the Veterans Affairs exams that they do to determine your disability rating and how you will be compensated once you're out of the military. That is part of his medical board evaluation. It's called a med board, and he did those back in March. Recently, the Richard Starr Act has come into play in the last year. They have been trying to pass this act where if you are a disabled war veteran, if you are a disabled veteran and you were discharged from the military, they're trying to make it so that you still get your military retirement, even though your career was cut short because of medical disabilities. So since that has happened, the VA has gotten incredibly backed up. We started this process 2 years ago for Aaron, and the first year they lost his paperwork, they didn't start the med board, etc., etc. Hurry up and wait is the name of the game. And so it was 1 year of just complete chaos where they didn't even start his medical evaluation board, and we were under the impression that they had. Flash forward to December 2022, and they finally, after a year of agony and waiting, they finally started Aaron's medical evaluation board. And we thought the process was going to take 6 to 8 months, but here we are, you all, months and months into it, and there has been multiple stalls along the way, mainly associated with paperwork. They lose paperwork. They don't ask for paperwork. Aaron is on the ball. He is very diligent. He is very much organized and dots his T's, crosses his I's. He made sure that he was re-enlisted during this time. And yet again, there was a stall in the fact that they said he was no longer in the military because they did not get his re-enlistment paperwork. Okay, so here we are now, and all of that was on record. He is still in the military. They had to find all of that information, and needless to say, it's an agonizing process for any person going through this. Any veteran that is already out of the military to go through and get their ratings, it's an agonizing process. Let's just say the system is incredibly broken, and the people that work for this organization, they're not really on it. So you have to be on it as the veteran yourself. And even though the veterans themselves are on it and dotting their T's and crossing their I's, it is a messy, messy process. It's filled with anxiety. It's filled with stress. You don't know what's going to happen with your future. You don't know when it's going to happen with your future. And your life is in the palm of their hands. And that is very difficult, especially when you're used to being in control of most of your life and most of the aspects of your life. So it puts our whole family in this situation where we are anticipating him being discharged from the military, and the fact that we can move on with our life. Aaron can get his education, he can finish his college degree, he can move on and start another career. Same thing with me. I can move on with other areas of my life. We can move across the country to where we are closer to our immediate family on the East Coast. That is all our goal at this time. And 2 years ago, I started saying, yeah, we're going to be moving within the year. And I've been saying that for the past 2 years. This Richard Starr Act came into play, and so many military service members are being discharged or medically retired or medically discharged from the military, and that has created a 6-month backlog at the VA. And this is a huge problem, especially for people like Aaron, who is going through this process, and he's done everything that he can do, and it's just out of his hands. Now it's just a waiting game. So we have stopped saying it's going to be in the next 6 months, and we have pushed it out to maybe in the next 18 months, he will be out of the military and we can move on with our lives. But nothing is promised and nothing is set in stone. So we're just in limbo. While in limbo, I'm doing everything I can to prepare our household goods by cleaning, organizing, and purging things that aren't necessary in our lives so that we can minimize our household goods and the moving process can be streamlined. What's going to happen is the military is going to move us one last time. And I'm one of those people that I like to know where everything is. I like to be very organized so that when the movers pack everything up, all the boxes are labeled and I know exactly what's in every box and where everything goes. I have seen in the past people who do not go through this process that I go through of purging, eliminating, trashing, donating. And I have been in their houses when they PCS or when the military packs and moves them. And the movers that are hired, you know, they're not actually in the military. They are contracted by the military to come. It's usually a local business. They come and they pack up your home for you and they move you. When they do that, they pack everything. So they'll pack trash, they'll pack food, they'll pack things that you don't even want packed. They'll pack the things that you need in your transition. Also, what they do is they will pack a preliminary batch of stuff. So anything that you need when you get to your next location immediately, it is a smaller, a smaller portion of household goods that they will send ahead of time. So baby cribs, your pillows, your linens, towels, dishes, some of your pots and pans, just the basic necessities that you need when you first arrive to your next location. And then the bulk of all the rest of your household goods, all of your furniture, all your huge mattresses, your beds, your sofas, your china cabinets, all that stuff gets moved in a second haul. So it's the rest of your household goods. So I'm just trying to get ready for all of that, you all. On to the cooking portion of this video. I am going to be making a zesty cranberry bread. I have that recipe on my channel. Basically what I do is I substitute cranberry juice for the water in my daily loaf of bread recipe, and all the other ingredients are the same. I put this into my bread machine, and then when my bread machine beeps and tells me I can add my add-ins, I add a couple fistfuls of these dried cranberries here. I get the apple juice infused dried cranberries from Azure Standard. They don't have any added sweeteners, colors, dyes, anything like that. It's just apple juice sweetened cranberries, and they are by far my most favorite dried fruit to eat. They are so delicious, so versatile. We add them to our oatmeal and we add them to our breads as well. We just eat them as is or in a trail mix. So I added 1 2/3 cup of liquid, which was the cranberry juice, and then I did about 1/4 cup of oats in there. We're also going to add 4 tablespoons of sugar, 2 teaspoons of salt. We also do 4 tablespoons of oil, then 4 cups of bread flour. Sometimes I do half whole wheat bread flour and all-purpose flour, but because I am out of all-purpose flour, we are doing 4 cups of whole wheat bread flour. And then on the very tippy top, I make a little indent and I add 2 teaspoons of yeast. This goes into the bread machine and I just do a medium loaf. It's just your standard bread setting with a medium crust, and let it go to town. When it beeps, I add in the cranberries and it's delicious. I'm gonna be using this cranberry loaf of bread to make French toast in my waffle maker. In just a few minutes, I'm gonna show you guys exactly how to do it. It's one of our favorite ways to eat French toast these days. It's a little bit slower than making it on a griddle on the stove, but we don't mind because it's super fun. It's a fun way to make French toast. Now I'm going to peel a whole bunch of sweet potatoes, and what I like to do is peel sweet potatoes and cube them up. I saute them in a cast iron skillet and put a lid on them just to help them cook all the way through, and I use coconut oil. This makes a really tasty sweet potato side dish, and we make a big batch of them all at once, and I put the leftovers in the fridge in a glass covered container, and we eat on them throughout the week. So I'm gonna do about 6 or so or less sweet potatoes, as many as I can fit into my cast iron skillet. Let's get into this French toast. We are using the Zesty cranberry bread for this French toast. It's going to be so tasty. Actually, what you see me slicing there is the tail end of my last loaf of bread. And then I'm gonna use some of this Zesty cranberry bread. Both are delicious with cinnamon French toast batter. And to make the batter, I just crack 4 eggs into a pie dish, a Pyrex pie dish. And then I add, about a cup of milk, I would say, a cup or so of milk. I put in there some Redmond's real salt. I probably didn't remember to right off the bat, but eventually I add it, I'm sure. That's one thing I seem to forget. Like, it seems like I'm always talking about adding salt to everything, because you really should add salt to all of your food. And I often forget it. I'm guilty of being forgetful of that primary ingredient. I mean, it's not a primary ingredient. It's just, there it is. There's the Redmond salt. It's just an ingredient that I often forget to add to things. So sometimes you'll see me forget to add it and I'll add it later on. Surprisingly, on this day, I remembered to add it. So I do cinnamon, vanilla, and maybe 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, probably a teaspoon of vanilla, 4 eggs, a cup of milk. Mix it all up together. I'm over there giving the sweet potatoes a stir. I like to keep a lid on those once they get going, and I turn them down to low heat so they don't burn, because your sweet potatoes, they will burn quickly, and then the outside will burn and the inside will be completely raw. So you want to do it on a low heat and keep adding coconut oil as needed, and keep them with a lid so that the lid steams your sweet potatoes. Then I'm gonna get back over here to my French toast. So we're making French toast on the waffle iron because it makes amazing French toast. It's so fun. It makes 4 neat little squares that the kids can peel down the middle, perpendicular, horizontal, you know, all that. What is it called? Horizontal, vertical. And it makes it fun. And also I cut it up into small bite-sized pieces for my toddlers. It works really well, it gives me guidelines. And then we drizzle the top of it with some elderberry syrup. We're gonna serve the sweet potatoes on the side, and that is breakfast for this morning for all 5 of my kids. Aaron and I, obviously, we're gonna eat something different, but we're gonna nourish these kids with this delicious meal today. Believe it or not, I make my kids breakfast every single day, and there is a very rare occasion, maybe once a month, where they get cereal, but this is it, you all. I cook for my family every day. They always start out with a wonderful breakfast that nourishes them. If you enjoyed hanging out with me today, be sure to give this video a like, click that notification bell so that you can stay up to date with all of my latest uploads, and be sure that you're subscribed to my channel. I'll leave you with the meal that I made for myself after all the kids ate. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.